Hey guys, and welcome back. I'm Rachel O'Leary, and for today's daily-ish dose, I thought we would revisit arguably my favorite aquarium. This is my 150-gallon Hillstream aquarium. It was the very first build on this channel, and even though it's almost 5 years old now, it's still not fully stocked. That being said, at first glance, sometimes it may appear that there's not many fish in this aquarium, but if you really spend some time looking at it, you just see more and more and more fish come out of the woodwork. And that's because it's stocked almost entirely with teeny tiny fish, with the exception of the rainbow shiners and the yellowfin shiners, which are US natives and just worked really well with this aquarium. Now, this, as mentioned, is a hillstream aquarium, which means I utilized a drilled out and oversized FX5 canister with upgraded tubing in order to create a loop that goes through a corner matin filter. Now, because I upgraded both the suction and the discharge and the size of the tubing, it has quite a bit more turnover rate than it would stock, though I'm not entirely sure what the turnover rate is on this aquarium. One of my favorite things about it, though, is as you look around, you see all the plants moving in one direction across the surface and back the opposite way across the bottom, and this is how I have that hillstream loop. Now, historically, people utilize PVC systems in the bottom of the aquarium to create this loop, but I've been really happy with how my modified canister and corner filter have worked out for these fish. Now, almost all of these fish come from areas that have really high flow, really high oxygen content, most often near waterfalls or very fast moving water. So it was important for me to have this sort of current and high oxygen level for their health and longevity. The substrate I used in this aquarium is a Sarah Supernatural substrate, which I chose because a lot of the different gobies and loaches are basically cave spawners. So utilizing a substrate like this means they can move it a bit in order to create their nests or to lay their eggs inside for the babies to then hatch. It also has a bunch of schooling fish, things like white clouds, orange fin danios, the rainbow shiner, the yellowfin shiners, and then just tons and tons and tons of gobies and loaches. And I've quite honestly lost track of how many fish are in this aquarium, as I do quarantine anything that goes in here for about 6 months of health. The one exception were the newest rhinogobius, which came from a guy who's been a long-term customer and bred these at home. Now, back in the day when I stocked at these spiny loaches, the gray ones with the spots down their side, I only put a small handful in here. And as we look through the aquarium, they're everywhere. I never actually see babies, but the ever-expanding population tells me that they are absolutely breeding in this aquarium, as are my coolie loaches. I do see baby coolie loaches from time to time, from a half an inch to an inch long, though we don't see a whole lot of them on the daily basis. There's also a bunch of off-flux grazers, and what that means is fish like these Soelia and Borneo suckers that suction to the rocks and graze on algae and the microcrustaceans that form there. So it was important to not stock this tank too quickly or too heavily in order to allow that growth on all the rocks for these guys to have to eat, as they can be difficult to supplement. All in all, I think this tank is super fun and rewarding. One of my favorite things to do is turn off the lights in the fish room, as I am right now, and just sit and watch and see the fish that come out of every nook and cranny throughout this entire aquarium. It is active in every single level, every single nook and cranny, with all different shaped fish, colored fish, and behaviors of fish. And I think that's what really makes it my favorite aquarium in the fish room. Now, if I really wanted to breed a lot of these fish, it would make much more sense to pull them into specific breeding aquariums. But the goal for this aquarium has and always will be just a really cool, sort of biotope-inspired aquarium for fish that have really specialized needs, and a good example of how you can do so. It's planted with all low-tech plants, no fertilizers, no CO2. This is narrow-leaf java, there's cryptbalanceae, there's moss that I didn't put in there, there's tons of bucephalandras, anubias, cryptocorynes, just water fern, all sorts of easy plants that do really, really well with this dilute water. This aquarium does get water changes of about 30% every 4 to 5 days. And I also have some ferns that I collected in Florida growing out of the top of the matin filter, which is pretty fun. Anyway, a lot of you had been asking in the comments for me to do one of these sort of looks at this aquarium. And I'm really not even sure if I've ever shown it before when it's not feeding time, for you guys to get an idea of really how active it is when there's not food added. And it is always like this, and why it's my favorite. If you guys have any specific questions about this aquarium or suggestions for aquariums you would like to look further into, let me know down in the comments. As always, I hope everyone is staying safe and staying healthy and staying home. One other thing I hope to do for this aquarium, once we get past all the social isolation and the delights that we're going through right now, is I still need to figure out a way to block the light from the other side of the fish room so that I can get even better footage. Because there's so much light pollution, it really messes with the color balance in here, but you can still get a pretty good idea. I know also that my choice of background color maybe isn't the most popular, but I think it really gives it a cool, natural river-like appearance, and I'm really happy with it. I'm still thinking about what additional fish to add here. I also need to source some more rainbow shiners. So if you guys know of anyone who's breeding them, I desperately need females, or I would be happy to buy a group of young. I would love to add some more to this aquarium. But yeah, stay tuned to see what we do with this, and I hope everyone's tanks are going well.